Well, right now, let's welcome Hal Mayer and Mark Lee to the stage.
Everybody. Well, how's life, guys? You good? I'm telling you, I've spoken several places before, but I've never been thrown under the bus by following a guy like that. I mean, what do I do? Jiminy crickets. Hey, let me start with something that's going to be hard. Turn to the person beside you and say, this may be hard to hear. Go ahead. And turn to the person beside you and say, this may even piss you off. Now, did I say piss? I'm from New Jersey.
We're a family here, so that's okay.
I heard Randy say stuff yesterday, say I'm from New Jersey. Everybody forgave him. Here's what I want to say to you. We're going to talk about marketing. You on page 24? You with me? The most important marketing piece you have is you. Okay? Is you. You, when you're starting a church, there's no church. They're not joining your church, they're joining you. And my question is this, what are you doing with you? Now, you heard Steve yesterday talk about paying attention to your fitness and stuff like that. And let me just tell you, I'm not going to tell everybody, I mean, you looking at me going, what's up with that? I know I'm trying to work hard. Now, I will say this, if you're as pretty as this guy, you ain't got to worry about it. I mean, is he nice looking or what? I'm going to use him on all my mailers. Just kind of, what are you doing, Randy? Oh, this for him? Randy loves to mess with people. Did we tell you he's from New Jersey? But here's the truth, guys. You are the most important marketing piece. And people, when they first see you, what do they think? You don't have to have the body of a god. That's not the deal. But you do have to pay attention to your health because it speaks about your commitment to God and who you are. I'm telling you, people watch and people make comments. You know that, all right? All right, enough said. Turn to the person beside you and say, that's enough. All right, here we go. Let's jump into marketing your church. And Mark's up here with me, and he has killed it out there. You're a big mailer guy. Talk to me a minute about print media.
Well, one of the things that I think was important for us in the beginning, especially leading to our first preview services, was really being able to generate buzz and identity in the community. I think somebody was saying this before, that when you have a permanent facility, that when you have a permanent foothold in the community, then you occupy real estate in somebody's mind. Every time they drive by your permanent facility, they know you're there. But in a portable facility, that's not the case. And so, especially in this area of print media or electronic media, Hal and Brandon are going to talk about that a little bit later. Servant evangelism, you have got to do something to get out there in the hearts and the minds of people. And so what we did in the beginning was, because of what my coach had told me, this was something that was really important in the coaching process. Because number one, I didn't know how to do print media. You're going to be frustrated when you try and get a bulk mail permit, all that stuff. I'm not good with details. So, you know, you get a good detail person to take care of some of that. And even as a pastor, there's a certain amount of skepticism that I had towards advertising that costs so much. That stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well, I can tell you from personal experience, going from a launch team of 30 people to a first preview service of 220 people, that it brought 190 people that wouldn't have come otherwise.
Yeah, so as we dive into this, I want to talk first about under print media. By the way, if you found online where the notes are? Okay, next session we'll put that on the screen because there's a disadvantage. You may not get all the blanks filled in, kind of like the other day, but that's all right. We will give you all the blanks. I promise you, you will get those. So you can just relax. We'll try to follow this some, but we'll see what happens. But I think one of the most important things when you begin is picking a name. When we were trying to pick a name for our church, I wish I could say I was more spiritual about it. I wish I could tell you, but here's what I prayed. I said, God guide me, and I went to GoDaddy.com, and I started typing in URLs that would be memorable that I could have. So I didn't have to put something else. And so praying and GoDaddy leading me, we chose Church at the Bay because it was, and we could own the .com, .net, .tv, .anything you wanted. Nobody had that yet. So we chose that name because I wanted the thing of real estate in their mind. So if all they thought of was Church at the Bay, if they just Google that, they will come up with us. If they drop the .com, they'll come up with our website. How'd you guys pick your name? You're what? Vantage?
We're Vantage Point Church, and the way that we picked our name was this. And just to even
Was it the right idea like mine, or was it different?
Well, you probably just thought Ron invited a Unitarian pastor to come speak or something like that with a name like Vantage Point. But no, I mean, number one, Hal is like totally correct in the fact that, I mean, when we were looking for a church, I mean, one of the number one things that we were looking for is we wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be confusion with other churches.
Right.
If you name your church Hope Chapel, that's great, but you're going to have to be Hope Chapel ccchurch.biz, because there's going to be a billion other churches with that URL on there. So one of the things that we wanted was we wanted a church identity that was unique, and also we wanted a church name that was going to reach unchurched people. We wanted a church name that was going to be reflective of the target group that we were trying to reach. So we came up with a name that wasn't immediately very churchy. Vantage Point is not very churchy, but we wanted to have a spiritual idea, a spiritual principle, a spiritual identity behind it. And so the idea was this, that we think that a lot of life's challenges come from not seeing lost people from God's vantage point.
Yep.
We think a lot of life's challenges are from not seeing life's circumstances and life's situations from God's vantage point.
So
and that's what we want to do.
What's your URL?
It's vantagepointchurch.org, and if you go to vantagepointchurch.com,
It redirects.
It'll redirect you.
Very cool. Yeah. If I had have seen Vantage Point, I might have used that first. I like that. I mean, it even
we don't
sounds,
have a bay, but I'd probably use
but it
that
sounds
too.
Spiritual, dude. I mean, I like that. That's always a good thing when you're doing like church and stuff. Talk a little bit about style here. When we do our mailers, we do, and by the way, both of us were talking about this. We had started out using mailers a lot. They have diminished for us because the ROI on them decreases. If it works, run with it. That's my principle. If it stops, change. You know, but we use 8.5 by 11 glossy both sides because well, let me give you a couple things on that. Number one, we make it look like a magazine. So it's bright colors. Our target is a 35-year-old guy that watches ESPN on Saturday morning. So all of our colors reflect that. The feel of the magazine, the look is that. And you know, you put your topic on there, but we run it at that. Let me tell you what, we get it printed, addresses, and saturation mailer at about 15 cents a piece. So that's a really good price, and they're just for us. It's not some company that some of the other church is going to launch in your area and have the same stuff out there. That's really embarrassing. But we're able to do that and push those out, and we saw great return. One of the things I found out on the side of one of the guys in our coaching network from Jacksonville, he's a postman, and he told me, he said, you know, the cool thing about your mailer that's really smart, number one, when we get stuff like that in our box at saturation, we want to get it out because it takes up so much space. Our mailers hit on Tuesday, and they're delivered by Wednesday in Tampa, so that's incredible. The other thing he said was we use it to wrap the mail. So unintentionally, we had some advantages there. Talk about your mailers for a sec.
Yeah, we never used 8.5 by 11, although I would love to. Just for the price sake, we didn't go with 8.5 by 11. Typically, we went with a postcard that was a little bit big. I think it's like 6 by 9 or something like that. Something that was bigger than your normal 3 by 5 card. Something that would really kind of pop in the mail. Heavy cardstock we would use. We use a service called nextdayflyers.com. And that was, man, their pricing was just fantastic. If you look out there, there are some printers that are cheaper than you think.
Yes.
And here's the thing, please, 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 when you put out advertising material, you're going to spend a considerable amount of your budget trying to get the word out. So would you please get it professionally designed?
And spell check it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've made that mistake before.
A guy in our area... A guy in our area did a mailer starting a brand new church, and he ripped somebody else's, which is cool. I always said I'd use better ideas when I saw them. But he ripped some, but he forgot to insert the name of his church.
Of course. Of course.
So he's got this new church starting with a name, and he's inviting them to another church. I thought I'd die laughing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the quality of the materials that come through your mailbox, I mean, if you look at Bed Bath & Beyond and all these other things, they're not like crazy design. I mean, You don't have things that are like totally up there in quality, but what you can't do is you can't have your Aunt Joan or Uncle John design your mail piece. And here's the thing, if you go to maybe a more established church in your area, if you go to one of your partners and you ask them to, let's say you don't have a graphic designer on your list, and you want to get it professionally designed, you might be able to go to one of your partner churches and ask them, hey, as a part of your donation towards us, do you think maybe you could help us with the professional design of some of these pieces? Because you want your piece to pop, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you have about, I think the statistics say that you have maybe like a 0.5% return. People are going to look at it, they're going to throw it away. You have like a half second to grab their attention. And if you don't grab their attention with something that just looks nice, you've wasted your money.
Something we use a lot of, I think we've got it back there, guys. This is out of order, I know, but invite cards, do you have that back there? Look at those guys. Something we're going with now, our big mantra, this is just a generic one. We'll do them for each series. Some, not every series, but our big attraction series. But our basic thing is no perfect people allowed. On the front side, go ahead and run that back if you would. On the front side of the card, in fact, everything we print now is this QR code.
That's awesome.
If you have a smartphone, how many have a smartphone? How many have a dumb phone? Dumb kids. No, don't raise your hand. What'll happen is, the cool thing on this, they see it and everybody wonders what it is. Now, a couple things on this that will help you. Number one, you can make them for free, so don't pay somebody. Another thing, send it to a site you're going to redirect. For example, I was telling you, this goes to churchatthebay.net. We own that. We're not using it. All redirects to churchatthebay.com. But churchatthebay.net, and what we do then is redirect it, not to our website. Don't do that to your website. You're missing the point. Do it to a video that's inviting people. If you go to our QR code there, it takes you to a video that's 2.5 minutes long. It says, hey, my name's Hal Mayer. I'm so glad you're checking us out online. Let me give you a quick tour of Church at the Bay. And we drive them in. It shows them where to drop their kids off, shows them what the worship service looks like. It shows them how we do bounce houses, all that. So in 2.5 minutes, they've got a feel for Church at the Bay. Make sense? And so what'll happen, though, is since that we're going to use the same QR code on this, when we do a different series or something, we don't have to change the QR code, just change where it's redirected. So churchatthebay.net will redirect to a different video. And those people click them, they'll watch them. Our Vimeo watch rates have gone up huge because of that. And I just encourage you, man, figure out how to do it. The reason we use Vimeo on those instead of YouTube is they show better on smartphones. They take the whole screen, where YouTube will not do that for you. So use these cards. We tell people, I'll hold them up. Sometimes we hand out a 12-pack on the weekend, sometimes a 6-pack. But we'll hand them out the cards on the way out. And I'll just say, when you go to lunch today, please leave a big tip and leave this card. And I'll say, and if you don't leave a big tip, leave another church's card. You know, if you're going to be cheap, leave somebody else's card. We have those in the back for you, too.